All right, YouTube, occult literature video number 4. This is on categorizing the occult. It's essentially on the topic of internalized versus externalized magic. As before, with all other titles, you can purchase this on Amazon. Link is in the description of the video. There's also a link to my books blog. There are many other titles available. They range from alchemy, grimoires, things on the psychedelic world, to an extent herbalism, and even gardening with spirits of the garden, as well as a few political treatises. This work that I wrote some time ago, though, specifically details the difference between types of occultism which are internalized and types that are externalized, and sort of goes into describing them and categorizing them further. For instance, you can find no better example than the difference between evocation and invocation. An evocation, as described by demonolators, I'm not sure as described by a perhaps more traditional group, quote-unquote, but as described by a demonolator, it would essentially be the person is using their own mental clarity, their own focus, their own psychosomatic state, as it may be, to focus upon a symbol, to bring forth an energy, to set it on upon their will, and to do something with it. It's an internal exercise. It requires their focus, as opposed to an invocation where it's a ritual of some sort, many ways. It's essentially a statement that's being made, a plea made to a god or a goddess, summoning of some other force, something along those lines, which may or may not have any further ritual connotating with it. And then that being, which is generally considered, it's considered literally external from the practitioner, is what's actually doing the work. That is, you've entreated this spirit or this deity or this demon or something like that, or this force in general terms. You've given a sacrifice to them. You've performed some ritual to acquire their favor in some way, and then they do the work for you, maybe with a little bit of further aid, but the force itself is external to you. Meditation would be an internalized force. Prayer would be an externalized force. And so I went through some of the major sort of phenomena within occultism, within mysticism, within the left-hand path, and I carved them up according to this categorization system. Now, it's 61 pages in length, so it's a manuscript, not quite novella-length work. I would have made it longer, except that there aren't actually that many, totally speaking, within ritual magic. I didn't want to focus on like alchemy or something like that. Altogether, there aren't that many things to actually categorize that you can say that much about to have to describe. Some things are self-explanatory. Sometimes it's self-explanatory that something is internalized or external to the practitioner. In cases where it's not quite so clear, I attempted to put them in one of these categories for the edification of the reader. Now, of course, I recommend it because I wrote it. It's one of 3 works specifically within the occult that I made in a short time period. They're all around the same length. I will be, of course, making videos for the rest of them in the future as well. All 3 of these works sort of form a set. Now, the design overall is the older design that I've used typically from my works. I saw no reason to fool with it. I already did the final proofreading. It already was in a usable format, in a readable format, that is. And the core of the content cannot really be expanded upon because all you would be adding to it essentially is more categories that are more and more self-explanatory over time as you add them. But by understanding whether a form of occultism is internal or external, there may be those, for instance, a demonolator may very much prefer the more introverted, the more internalized form of occultism. Another person might really want something external. They want to find something greater than themselves, some spiritual force that's like deified, cosmic in some manner. For these people, there are different types of occult practice that really bode well for them or kind of bode ill for them, depending on the sort of thing they're interested in. If they're not interested in it, they're not going to get very far, no matter how much their natural aptitude may take them towards. Therefore, I wrote this work. I figured it would be edifying for people who are practicing the occult as a philosophical overview, not a how-to guide, but as a philosophical overview of some of these basic concepts. Again, links in the description to the blog as well as to the Amazon page for this work. That's about all. Peace out.